been a while and oh, okay, hold on. I got stuff here. Okay. Anyway, so yes, I'm Joan Adams. I have been working here at Alzheimer's Resource of Alaska since 2005. I did take care of my mom who had dementia. And yeah, we're a statewide nonprofit organization, which maybe, and I don't know whether this group is familiar with us or not. So I'm just going to assume you don't know. And if you do, good, then you can go, yeah, my brain is smart and I'm remembering. But yeah, we're a lot of people confuse us between Alzheimer's Association and Alzheimer's Resource of Alaska. And Alzheimer's Association is a national organization, and Alzheimer's Resource of Alaska is a statewide nonprofit. So we're all here in Alaska and providing direct services to folks, families and whatnot. Our agency started, for anybody who doesn't know, 1985. Two sisters in Anchorage, they had a mother who had Alzheimer's form of dementia, and there was no resources available for them. And so they put a classified ad in the paper down there, and they started the first support group. And both of their husbands were pilots, so they also would fly out to communities around and get a support group started in those communities as well, which is kind of the foundation of why we've become a statewide agency. For me, I'm the Fairbanks office, and my region is the whole Tanana Chiefs. So I go all the way up to the mountains and all the way over to Eagle, down to Tope, down to Denali, the whole, not just Fairbanks proper, but we all travel, but I travel the whole region just to get out to get information to folks. And so, you know, why do our brains change? And some people misunderstand kind of the whole idea behind it. It's like when the cells stop communicating to each other, it's like any other part of our body. If we stop using it, then things atrophy and die. And that's what happens with the dementias, is that our cells stop communicating with each other in our brain, and so they atrophy. And that's why, if I don't know that you guys can see this, but no, but anyway, so here we go. If you can see a healthy brain on top, an Alzheimer's only kind of dementia brain on the bottom. And I have families a lot of times that say, oh, my person, they're so, you know, they're so cranky and they're so stubborn and all of these things. And being a care partner is a challenge for sure. But I try to remind them, no, that's not what's going on. The brain has been changing, and so they cannot interact with the world around them and you the way they did. And so those are the things that I think we have to remember when we're care partners, but also, you know, if we have friends, you know, our senior population is growing 4 times faster than lower 48 states. And so if you don't know anybody now, you probably will at some point. Just kind of the numbers sort of state that. And people ask me, well, why do I think that's so? And I don't know absolutely, but growing up here, my dad's people would, you know, go to retirement age, and then they'd go to the lower 48 states, you know, to Arizona or Florida or wherever their kids lived. And now we have so many opportunities to age in place up here. You guys' name of your, you know, your group is Aging at Home. And, you know, we have facilities and agencies that help facilitate that for us so we can be more comfortable staying at home. And the other thing that I see quite often is that families who have their jobs and kids up here, they're bringing their family members up here to Alaska to be with them here. And so I think maybe between the two, I don't know absolutely, but that's just a trend I've noticed. And so there are a lot of people are confused between what's the difference between Alzheimer's and dementia. And dementia is an umbrella term of symptoms. Alzheimer's is the most common form of dementia, mostly because of us baby boomers all growing old at the same time. But there are some some forms of the dementias that are reversible. And that's why we're really fortunate up here in Alaska to have health fairs. And we can go and actually, if we don't have a PCP, we can go and get blood work done fairly reasonably compared to having to pay out of pocket. And most folks have some kind of insurance, we hope, but it's just another opportunity, not only to do that, but also to get information as we have health fairs. And I attend all of these. That's part of my deal, is outreach. And so I try to attend as many of those as I can. And so I'm part of this group of people who just want to get information out to the community and to all of you. So if you were to go, you would see my table or see other people who are there trying to share information with people so that you know where to go. Because I know when I took care of my mom, I was real familiar with her community. That said, it took me 2 whole weeks to find the right agency because social work wasn't, in my look-see. I knew a lot of other things going on in her community, but not that. So it takes a while to find the right people to get you the right place. So that's one of my goals, is to get information out to folks. So if you need something, I can say, well, here's this agency, or here's this person, or here's their phone number, so that people can get in touch with the resources and stuff that they know. One of the things that some people wonder about and think is that, well, does memory screening mean, or memory issues mean that that's automatically dementia or Alzheimer's? And I have to say, when I first started here, almost every diagnosis that came through the office, the healthcare people had put Alzheimer's label upon it. Now I'm seeing people with mild cognitive impairment, with Lewy body, with frontal temporal, with vascular dementias. They're being more careful at looking at what's going on and saying what's going on. But in order to have some sort of dementia kind of labeling, it has to be more than just memory. Now, we do have a condition called mild cognitive impairment, which is memory issues more serious than normal. And I have a handout that kind of talks about what is normal. But you have to have other cognitive function that has to be impacted as well. And some of those include things like our perception of ourselves, but also our perception of the world around us, our sense of organization. How do we go about accomplishing tasks? When we're younger, we can usually listen to and have tasks like 8 steps to get to the result. As we grow older, lots less than that. And with people with dementia, less steps. And that translates into their care partners, their family, whomever is helping them to assist them to be able to accomplish things. Abstraction is one of the things: names, dates, places, people. And a lot of times people are better and less better at things like that. And so when I do memory screenings, that's one of the things that I'm checking with is this new? Because one of the things when I do memory screenings is ask, have you noticed changes in this category, in that category, in that category? And maybe you are changes in this moment, but is that something that's been going on? Many people say, I've never been good at that. And that's me. I'm not good at remote controls. I have my daughter to help me. And it's something that's always kind of perplexed me. And I'm getting better at it because I'm trying to think positive. But some people are just better, not so good at different things. Some people have language as an issue. And one of the things that can happen to folks is that they are not understanding what we're saying, or we speak more quickly. And a lot of times we do speak more quickly. I know I do that. And one of the things, if we knew somebody had some kind of dementia and cognitive function challenges, then maybe we would want to speak more slowly and have pauses long enough for them to actually kind of think about, what we're saying and come up with some ideas and words together to respond back to us. So those would be one of the things that might be of value for us to do if we were interacting as friends, as family, with someone who had some kind of dementia. Our attention span, as senior people, our attention is less than that was when we were 20. That said, it can diminish quite a bit more if someone has some kind of dementia. Reasoning can go, and that's one of the frustrations for family members, is that they try to talk to them and say, well, this is not how this is, and you should do that. And if reasoning is going, then now we can tell them that all we want, but it's not going to be real helpful, because they're not going to be able to retain that, and they're not going to be able to kind of follow it through to the end. And that can translate into poor judgments, which some of my families, call with some concern, because their family member is making decisions or doing things that isn't necessarily in their best interest. And so they're concerned about that. Some of the changes that have happened for us as an agency as a result of the pandemic, and I never thought I'd ever say there was anything great from this pandemic because it's been so stressful, but we have been forced, as so many other people, to go Zoom. Before I would offer groups and classes here at the office, and you had to be here locally to be able to attend. As a result of the pandemic, my whole team all offers classes. My team all offers groups. And so if you wanted to attend a group and it didn't work on the day and the time that I offered, there are other options available. There are other kinds of groups. Actually, we have a partnership group. We have a grief group, as well as just a general support kind of group. So those are some of the new things. And then instead of just the one class that I offer a month, now you have multiple choices of different topics that you can attend based on availability to you or areas of interest for you. Some of the changes that have happened also as a result of going Zoom with this is that we've been able to offer some different programs for people with memory issues. So we have art links, and we have memory cafe for people who like to sync. We have Voices of the Last Frontier. We have mind aerobics, which is a brain exercise class, which is actually kind of cool. Our staff, when they started to do it a couple years ago, asked the rest of us in our department to participate so they could practice facilitating. And as a result of that, I've started doing brain exercises every day now. And I have to say, besides my morning coffee, it is something that really helps me feel a little bit more together and more alert, and makes me feel good, because I feel like every time we're learning brand new things, we're making new brain connections. So it's an opportunity for me to say, okay, well, you're making new brain opportunities, new brain connections. It's a good thing. One of the things that, if you are not on our mail list, just let me know and we can get you on there. And we have a new communications fellow. And it used to be that we would have, 3 months worth of classes and groups and whatnot all set up there. And so you had to kind of remember, well, now Mark sends like two weeks before something is coming up for an activity. He'll be sending a note out to folks and saying, hey, this is coming up in a couple weeks. This is where you go to register for that event if you want. And so it's pretty easy to sign in to these different activities. We also have we have continued to do, although I've opened the office now for doing in office activities, memory screenings, for example. We did that on Zoom for a while, and we're doing them in the office again. We had to abide by what the state said in terms of when we could open up, and I still do all of the cleaning and sanitizing and stuff before folks come in, just because I want them to feel comfortable. But that's something that's available for folks to come in. If you're having worries and concerns about memory screening, just have to give me a call, and we'll set up a time. We do have another class, just to point out, is one that's called Savvy Caregiving. It's a longer class for people who are care partners. Kind of does an overview of what dementia is, and then looks at how do things change over time. We had one lady who came in. She had a dad and then a mom, had different kinds of dementias, and She actually came and attended this class 3 separate times because dementia, caring for dementia changes over the years. And so what do you do when things change, happen? And she felt, a couple of them, but one particularly felt it was really good for her to be able to have a refresher. And the other thing is we talk with each other like we do in support group. Well, what do you do about this? And what do you do about that? And the opportunities, you get other ideas, because as a care partner, what we want to do is to create as many tools in our toolbox so that this might work today, but it might not work next week. But don't throw anything away because it might work fine after that. So this is a really good opportunity for friends and family, even not just people who are actively as professionals doing this. We have mini grants that I wanted to point out. They're available for individuals with some kind of dementia diagnosis. And it's good for $2,500 per person per year, and it buys stuff. It would not pay for in-home care provider. But if you had home modification, for example, that you needed to do just to make it more convenient, because our whole goal is to keep people as independent and sustain quality of life for as long as possible. And most people that I know, they want to stay home. They don't want to have to go to a facility or anything like that. And so if we can help facilitate that, we do. And I know particularly, excuse me, with the home modification, we have our program. And then I know at the senior center, they also have a program that's geared towards home modification that might, between the two of them, if it exceeds whatever, our $2,500 per person is, that might work for that. I also have a person, and it buys all kinds of stuff. We've bought firewood, we've bought medication. One man had cancer. He got one hearing aid for his wife in the spring and one hearing aid in the fall. Our year goes from July till June. So right now we're not even halfway through for anybody who needed something. I have the applications here at my office. They're online if you want to go there, if you need to talk to somebody about what is it all about, what does it cover. Our committee meets once a month and goes through the paperwork. There's an application process. You have to have a piece of paper with a diagnosis from a healthcare professional, and people need to not buy it up front, but get an invoice or whatever receipt saying this is what we need to get or want to get. I know one person called and wanted to get Depends for her mother and was trying to decide did she want to do it quarterly or every 6 months, because after a while it gets kind of expensive. Another woman needed a new bed, got a hospital bed. Somebody else was at a Pioneer home and they got one of those rocking chairs. So it's real variable, and I know our committee is pretty generous. They want to help as many people as possible. So they work really hard. I have a gentleman, he needs to come in and he doesn't drive, he rides a bike. And so we need to get together with Amazon and see about ordering all the parts and pieces that he needs so he can ride his bike in the winter time. The other thing I want to bring to show you, and I don't know whether you can see because the cameras are so good, but these are called comfort pets. Anyway, we have a kitty and we have a dog, and they have batteries and they both make noises and they do things appropriate. So if you knew someone who is in the later stages that you think might appreciate having a faux pet in their world, same thing, just, fill out the applications. And I didn't finish my thought, don't pay for it up front, get that invoice, submit it, and then what we do is we reimburse them directly. So you don't have to worry about the money part. And so what else? So what are the things that are good for us? That's what a lot of people want to know. And it's not rocket science, but it's not all that easy sometimes. But at the top of the list is exercise. And they've kind of scaled down from, and my daughter will argue with me, but from 30 minutes a day to 20 minutes a day. They say 150 minutes a week. the idea is to get our heart rate up so that we get oxygen in our blood. The other thing that I was just watching a training a little bit earlier that I didn't know, and that is what exercise does is it repairs the part of the brain that fixes stuff. And so when we exercise, we're actually helping our brain to be healthier because it can take care of the problems that may be happening in our brain. And I know doctors say the one thing they think is the most important thing to do, and that is to exercise. And I know as we grow older, it's harder to do, especially if we have health issues, you know, how to go about doing that, how to manage it. But even if it's, you know, at my house, I have a very small place, but I have stairs, and I kind of have a love-hate relationship with these guys, but I go up and down the stairs and, you know, work at trying to keep our muscles strong. And I know there are a lot of senior people, honestly, who cannot, I'm sitting at my chair here, but cannot, without pushing up on the hand rails or on the sides of it, stand up. They could not do this to just stand up. And I know some families where, in two cases, honestly, where the person fell down and they could not even get around onto their hands and knees to assist the person who was there to help them get up. And so they had to get the fire department to come and assist them. Another case, she got her sons to come and help him. But it's just, you know, just simple things. And I have a whole program here, which I don't think I included in the handouts that I'm going to send to Leslie to send to you guys. But it's just stuff you can do at home. You don't have to go to the gym. But, you know, just doing simple things with things that you have in the house, so that you can, you know, work on things like balance, work on things like strength, aerobics as best as we can. It's a little harder for us here in Alaska in the winter because it's not as convenient to go outside, and we have to pay attention to slippery snow and ice, which we never used to have to deal with up here. So exercise is one of them. Diet is another. Eating McDonald's every day, not so good. And that's not just about dementia, but all kinds of things. Mediterranean diet is the one, and the DASH diet is the other, that are more vegetables, more fruit, less red meat, although we've got healthy red meat up here with our game. More fish, and we've got healthy salmon up here, which everybody else doesn't have, you know, access to like we do. We have blueberries up here. We've got some of the best in the land blueberries up here, and those are also good for us. So we want to kind of just look at trying to have a balanced diet, more veggies. And I know I'm just as bad as everybody else, maybe not everybody, but it's like I have to pay attention to my diet because sometimes I find like I get out of balance. And it's like, okay, Joan, you haven't had one of those. You better have more of that. So looking at what we eat, how do we eat it? There's some new research out there, and I've been watching a lot of really new research, and they're talking about some other things. They're not talking about things like the keto. And somebody told me recently about what was it called, Joan? Where they just ate meat and fat. You know, people say cut out carbs, or we want healthy oils, which we know, and nuts and seeds are good because they got healthy oils in them as well. And I just saw in today's, where is my magazine? I just saw in today's Pulse magazine, actually someone had told me about this a few weeks ago, that the Cooperative Extension Service actually can help us create menus out of bulk food. And I thought, what a great idea. I mean, I go on Zoom when I want to make something new, but the challenge I find is like spices. I was just talking to somebody yesterday about it. We have to buy big things of spice. I visited some friend of mine in California, and they have little containers of spice. So then I'll buy a whole thing of spice and I'll do that dish, and I may not do it again. And then I've got all, you know, spices that I don't use all that much, but certainly there are recipes all over the place on the internet for cooking, finding new ways to do things. If you're not already a good cook, as I'm kind of a basic cook, not really great, but I get by. The other thing we know that's really good for us are brain exercises. And I did a class once, and I actually just went through our daily news miner paper, and I don't go to the online paper site, so I don't know if this is so there, but every single day in the news miner, there are different kinds of puzzles. And so if you were to do different kind, and I know some folks say, well, I'm really good at crosswords. Well, that's good. All that means though is you're really good at crosswords. What we have to do is a variety of things so that we can utilize different parts of our brain. We also know that singing is really good. We know that dancing is particularly good because we're using our body, using both parts of the brain, and we're having to think about what we're doing. So if you have the opportunity to do dancing or whatnot, I know we do have different kinds of dance clubs in town. That's a good thing. But you want to try to utilize as many brain exercises as you can. And I know a few years ago, there is a program, it was on the internet, it was called Lumosity. And I thought, oh, this is pretty cool because it does things, and then supposedly over time, it improves your time and you get better at doing it. The challenge, well, two things happened. One was after a month, they wanted $45 a month, which I didn't want to spend that money. The other thing, though, it was only focusing on that one thing that we're doing. So that's the opportunity there to remember is try to find as many things. And I was just talking to a gal a couple weeks ago at a health fair, and she says, Joan, what do you get? Well, you can go online and ask, what about brain exercises and puzzles and games and those things? I've picked up some interesting things over at Barnes and Noble. Once you start looking for it, you're going to start to see it more regularly and more often. So it's just a matter of thinking about it and then starting to look for things that are good for you. They suggest learning a new language is a good thing. We've got Osher Lifelong Learning right down here. That's not that all expensive, and you can take classes, all kinds of classes from physical, to mental, to whatever you want. Very convenient, not very expensive. You can do it online or you can do it in person, kind of depending upon the class. So we have opportunities here to challenge ourselves and to help our brain. When my daughter came back from college, one of the things that she had learned music, she had a self-declared major in music, was part of it. And she came back with knowing about drums. And so she had this Doonbeck. I didn't know what a Doonbeck was, but I found out it's an Eastern drum that's shaped like this. And I thought, well, I used to sing and I used to play the piano and some kind of, musically inclined. And so I asked her if she'd teach me how to play the drum. And she said, sure. And so we tried, and I'm thinking, it's not that far from my hands to my brain, right? Well, yes, it was farther than I thought. It was a bit of a challenge. That said, though, what I reminded myself every day that I got frustrated with my practice was that I was making new brain connections. If it's easy, it's not good enough. You want to challenge your brain. So if you're it's going, a little bit hard. Okay, that's good. Try these new things. So yeah, any kind of brain exercises are good, as much variety as you can. The other thing about brain things is try to do things out of the norm. So if you're used to going, and I admit to this because they're just one road from my house into town, but still going a different way to go places here and there. And I know in the summer during construction, that's pretty easy because I have to be really thoughtful about how to get across town and where is construction happening and stuff. That's all good. That makes us have to think about things, make us go different ways, which impacts our brain differently. And that's what we want, is to impact our brain as many different ways that we can. And then socialization, and we're just getting back to that. I have to say, Zooming helps. I have to say that it's been kind of a surprise to me that you can still feel a sense of connection with people and to feel social and sociable through Zoom. It's not quite the same as seeing your friends and family and getting a hug, but it's better than nothing. And we are just starting to kind of open up and be able to go out and go places and be around people. for now, we're hoping things don't shut down again, but just staying active with people. Isolation is a real problem, and it happens to people with different kinds of dementias, and it also happens to care partners, and also happens to senior people. A lot of times, if I'm not moving around as much as I used to, and it hurts when I walk, so maybe I'm just sitting around the house instead of going out and doing things. And it's one of those challenges. So it's like what to do, but see if you can continue to stay social, stay involved with people, and do your best with that. I know one of my friends, she does Marco Polo. She's got grandchildren down in the lower 48, and I'd never heard about it before, but she records her little thing and then sends it down to the kids, and then they can watch it, and then they send a response back. So she's actually having her great grandchildren send messages back up to her. That's a nice new thing that with our technology wasn't something used to be had, as a telephone. And long ago, before computers, I was remembering that first computer I had way back forever ago. It was really big and a little tiny screen, and now we have great big screens and things, and they do all kinds of magical things. Some of the things for us to continue to keep and be aware of, and I'm hearing this more and more, are things to watch. And what comes through in my emails a lot of times is studies on sleep. We need to be sleeping more. Senior people a lot of times have trouble sleeping, and it's not just sleep apnea, but just other things that are impacting their sleep. And they talk about what's the healthy, sleep environment. You need it cooler, dark, don't have media stuff there. Apparently the blue light impacts our brain negatively in our bedrooms and things. So just pay attention if you're having problems with sleep. Maybe talk to your doctor, or change your environment so you have better sleep. Turn that TV off at night. The other thing is to pay attention to stress. We know that stress brings up hormones, and a little bit of stress is okay because it can be motivational for us. If we have long-term chronic stress, that impacts our immune system and contribute to different kinds of health conditions. So notice, and I know just acknowledging this last 2 years, and just kind of notice yourselves, because the last 2 years with the pandemic and everything, and everybody shut down, not being able to go out, not being able to see people, we have all been stressed. We can, say, well, I did my best, and I did my best too at self-care and trying not to, but the fact is, life as we used to know it changed for a while there. And we're just starting to, come out on the other side, feeling a little bit better about things, although we're still having to be cautious about stuff that we didn't really think about in the same way before. So pay attention to your stress. There are things you can do. They recommend meditation actually positively changes the mind and can add years to our life. I didn't know that. And other things just like mindfulness. If you can't do meditation, just being mindful and paying attention to be in the moment with what you're doing. So those are things to take into consideration. Supplements. Now, just kind of addressing that, one of the problems for senior people a lot of times is that they're taking a lot of different medications from different doctors, and maybe nobody has paid attention to everything. So I suggest people not just prescribe medications, but over-the-counter stuff, because I just read an article on over-the-counter things that if you have too much of it, it's dangerous, or interacts with other meds you have. It also includes supplements. It also includes homeopathics. It also includes herbals. So if you can put a list of all the stuff and then take it down to your pharmacist and say, hey, what do you think about all of this? Is there any problem here? I know for me, one of my medications that I take, I can't have grapefruit anymore because it creates a negative reaction to the medicine that I'm taking. And that's makes me sad, but I need the meds to work. So just notice that. And the other thing, this one study I was listening to yesterday she's doing research on supplements. And the one thing she said was that those people, and she was working with people with mild cognitive impairment, not people with full-fledged dementia. But she said that the people that were taking multivitamins lived longer or had less health events than the people who were not taking multivitamins. So, if you're not already, we know up here in Alaska, almost all places, but especially up here, we should be having vitamin D, we should be having vitamin C, looking, one of the things this health fair can check is, so how's your B12? I mean, we have to look at all those things and make sure we have them in the right combinations so they're healthy for us. Toxins, and probably we've all heard about toxins in terms of, cleaning things. And golly, we have a big one here in Alaska in terms of, our air quality up here. That's terribly toxic for all of us. And I know for myself, I have lung issues and I have to pay attention to that when it's really, really bad. I just go from the house to the car and the car to the office, and, I wouldn't go outside for anything. And that's in the winter. In the summer, gosh, last summer we had all those weeks of smoke from the fires. Same thing, although I saw young people out there running in those smoky things, but young people don't think anything's going to happen to them. So I don't know. I guess I was probably like that when I was a kid too. I don't know. But anyway, just paying attention to toxins and, environmental things. And and having healthier cleaning things and whatever, a lot of things with a lot of scent. Pay attention, is it got real essential oils or is it got other stuff in there, because they slip a lot of chemicals into a lot of things. Unless we pay close attention, we may not know. And then the last thing I kind of wanted to just address briefly, and I just was hearing about that to a class here earlier today, and that was depression. And I also had an article that said, this is what the brain happens if it hears the word no. And they're talking about the idea that negativity negatively impacts our brain function. And people who are depressed and chronically depressed are more prone towards different kinds of major health conditions. And so if you know somebody, if you are, it's something that's easy enough to address, looking at what can we do about it. And maybe it's environmental, maybe it's dietary, maybe it's social, there are lots of ways that we can support ourselves if we're feeling like we're depressed about things. So paying attention to that, especially if we know people, one of the things that happens regularly statistically in my studies of dementias is a real high percentage of people who have dementia are depressed. And part of that is they're losing things and they're recognizing, oh, I can't do this anymore. I can't do that anymore. A lot of loss happens for folks. And it makes sense that they're feeling depressed about stuff. And then we have the care partners who also, isolation can become a part of their world as their friends and family or whatever, neighbors, they don't know what to say. And I hear people say that, well, I don't know what to say to them. Well, just talk to them like you always did. I know one fellow, he had a good friend, he was in Pioneer Home, and what they shared in common was politics. And even when his friend in Pioneer Home was not verbal anymore, he would come in and visit with him, and he would share some of the politics that was going on. And he shared with me, I know he was listening because I said this and this, and then he'd have this smile on his face, and I knew he knew what I was talking about. So just, people just don't understand. We're still beings here living. Our world is changing around us and we react to our world differently than we did. But dementia doesn't mean that somebody's dead inside that body. That doesn't mean that at all. And that's part of the mythology out there, is just so frustrating. But anyway, just do what we can to stay as healthy as we can. Ask for help. If we think we need help, there's going to be folks around to say, sure, let's figure this out. So I guess that's kind of all I had on my agenda. Are there any questions that you have that I could clarify or answer, or anything? I'm going to be sending, I'm sorry, I've had a big emergency in my world here and I was not able to get all those handouts to you before my talk today, but I will be sending those to Leslie and she'll be getting them off to you. Anything particular on your minds today? Yes, Mary Ann.
I just to comment, you mentioned the comfort pets, and I saw some videos of folks who really enjoyed having those comfort pets, and they are really lifelike. I mean, these battery operated animals, and I have a cat, and when I get to the point when I can't have a live cat, I think I'd like one of those just to cuddle with and be nice. It's fun watching the video, actually. If you just Google comfort pets, I think probably you can see something like that. And also, I know one or two people who have taken the classes that you mentioned and really appreciated those. And I think it's nice to know that they're available and very helpful.
You're welcome. I know pets, just that you bring that up. Pets can increase our lifespan. Just the fact, not just that we're walking that dog or whatever, but we are taking care of somebody, we're loving somebody, we have that positive interaction back. So yeah, having pets is good. I lost my guy a couple of years ago, and it's taken me a while to get over my grieving, but I'm looking towards acquiring a new one. I saw Leslie's 4 babies today, so I'm motivated to reach out and touch somebody and see about what can I get for my home again, because I live by myself, and I would appreciate having the companionship.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions, comments?
I have just joined you because my dementia kicked in and I forgot that I was thinking about it this morning and I just remembered. So, Joan, I don't know what you've talked about, but I was wondering, I've been thinking that I should take an Alzheimer's test again. Are you doing, what are you doing? Are you offering those? Or what?
Yeah, I offer memory screenings here at the office. We just had to call me and we'll set up a time to get together. That's convenient for the both of us. It takes 45 minutes to an hour. And I'm still here at the office in the same location. I've been here at the office since 2005. I don't know when we moved in here, and people still don't know the agency's here. But the funny thing is, if you're not thinking about Alzheimer's, you're going to look at my sign and, the hippocampus says, oh, throw it in the back here for when I need it. And then when I tell them where I are, they go, oh, yeah, I know that. And that happened to me when I was pregnant with my daughter. All of a sudden, there were pregnant women everywhere. I went, where did they come from? Well, now I had my issues. So anyway, yeah, so just give a call, Nancy.
Had you talked about that test?
Not in any detail, no.
Okay, well, I don't know if others are interested, or in hearing more about what it is.
Well, briefly, there's 2 parts to it. One is a number of questions that you go through and answer, and that kind of targets different parts of the brain. And then the second part of it is looking at what has changed for people. And then we talk about it. I like to do an overview of dementia so that people understand kind of the brain and what's going on. And then letting people know what resources are available if they want to participate in that. So it's pretty simple. It's not real hard.
Okay.
And it can be different. We could do it every day and it might be a little different because we're not static beings, we are always evolving and changing, and
Yeah. I'd like to, are you hearing me?
I am, Helen, thank you. Or Helen Ann, maybe?
Yeah, I've been taking the mind sharpening class.
Oh, good for you.
And I don't think you're showing me as the person. I'm Helen Myers. And that's been pretty good, I've thought. So
Good. Yeah, that's our exercise. We have 2 levels of it. That's our brain exercise class. And it starts out simply and then it gradually grows with, challenges over the time. And Yeah, good. I'm happy you're doing that. I really enjoyed it that summer that our team, our staff did it while they were practicing it. Really kind of got things kind of up and moving in the morning. Or that's when we did it, was 8:30 in the morning. So
Yeah. For one thing, I could identify what I wasn't very good at, which was follow a long list of directions. So now I know I better ask for one by one.
And I think that's a good point. And, you know, none of this there's no cookie cutter with this. I'm looking at all you on my screen, and each of yours brains are different from mine. And your health is different from mine. And how things progress and change for you is different from mine. And we all have strengths and weaknesses. There's no absolutely anything. We all have to kind of figure out how it is for each of us. But I found the same thing. There were some aspects of that I discovered, oh, I'm not so good at that. The good thing about that is once we kind of identify that, we can work on improving some of those things if we want. Yeah. Marvin.
Yes, this last year I took a memory program from one of your operations in Anchorage. To what extent is there generation of workarounds that have more than just one person here and one person there? I mean, the idea of that there's an organization with many parts, and how much connection is there between what you do and what they do in other places in Alaska? I mean, it makes for a larger staff that way.
Well, our agency is a statewide, and we all travel to different locations and work at creating partnerships there. Besides doing this, we actually go physically to different places so that we can meet with people. And a lot of times when we go to the villages with, the health people there, or if they have a clinic there, sometimes it's with the tribal agencies. But we all travel to different places for exactly that reason, is we're trying to serve everybody. The challenge right now with rural communities, and I know we're working on it in a lot of different ways, is trying to get internet access to a lot of the villages, because they don't all, I mean, they would have to come maybe to the tribal council or maybe to the school to be able to have that accessibility. It's nothing we can make happen, but I do read that it's getting better. Those dogs are going.
Oh.
Anyway, yes, I agree with you, Marvin. It's
his course, it was a Zoom thing, and it included people from the Kenai, another person from Fairbanks, and they're scattered all over the place. So there's you can really create a more of an impact by sharing that way.
Exactly right. And that's the opportunity of this, having to do the Zoom. I know for some of the classes that I teach, I've had people from out of state attend my classes. And I've had people, I've helped actually friends and family down in California and back east, but I've had people from California say, what do we have in California like this? And I don't know. I mean, I can research on behalf of my families. If they got somebody out of state, I'll research and find out what's available for them where their people are. But you're right, the opportunity, we even have people from out of country who've attended some of our classes. But yeah, it's just accessibility. And that's, I think, the opportunity is that more and more people have the opportunity for access of information. And at least in Alaska, we can help you find out where to go for things. Out of state, not quite so easy, but yeah.
Joan, this
Yes,
is
ma'am.
Loyal. Where are you located?
I'm on University Avenue.
Okay. Are we able to drive up and go there, or do we have to make an appointment, or?
Well, I prefer you called because
problem.
I'm a one-person office, and it's like
Oh,
tomorrow
God.
I'll be at the health fair, doing a health fair event, and then I have a support group after that, so I'll be Zooming. So if somebody had showed up this moment while I'm with you guys, or the phone rang, I don't do that either. So to make sure we can spend time together, it's best if you, I mean, you can, but you might not get my undivided attention.
So would the best way be to text or call you and make an appointment?
I don't have text capabilities at the office. I'm old fashioned. Just give me a
All right.
call. I am going to also send
What is that number? What is that number?
452-2277.
Okay, we can do that. Okay, and
You
I won't
can
call
do
you
that.
tonight.
Yeah, and I'm here. And the only time, and I may not, like I said, if somebody called while I'm here with you people, I'm not going to be answering the phone, or if I'm in a consultation, I'm not going to answer the phone, but I do. And the only time, if I'm not here, my email knows I'm not here, my phone knows I'm not here, and my window knows I'm not here. So folks know I'm on vacation or whatever. But other than that, yeah, I'm in and out. That's the challenge, because I'm a one person deal here. So yeah, I'm in and out.
Thank you.
Yeah. Cindy, I'm loving your log home there. I can see out your windows.
Yeah, they're pretty good windows.
They're pretty good windows, all right. Joan, I can see out your windows too.
Yeah,
Yep, and look, Lou, I can see your windows too. Look at that.
And
And
this
Cheryl's
was,
got these
was the
gorgeous
dog's
flowers.
bark.
Oh, cutie pie. I need
This is the
one.
marker.
I need one of those.
Mhm.
Does anyone have any last minute questions for Joan before we leave for the day?
Thank you.
Just thank you very much.
yes.
Thank-
So
thanks
nice
so-
to listen to your talk.
Well, thanks so much for having me. It's like, that's kind of my mission in life, is just getting not just information, but just people to know, hey, we're here. Because like I said, I've been surprised that even professional people don't know our agency is here, even though we've been in Fairbanks since 1985.
Wow.
So it's like, golly, I'm not sure how that happens, but hey, just gonna keep on keeping on, you know?
You might mention the different way of getting to your building. The roads changed.
Yes, thank you. As a result of the road construction, now, if you're coming from campus side, you're gonna have to make a left on Indiana, where the veterinary office is, and take a right on Halverson. If you're coming from the river, you'll take a right at the Korean church and take a right on Halverson. And we're kind of in the middle, 2-story green building. I had a man who showed up here and says, where's college utilities? Where they used to be in this building. I don't know how long ago, long time ago. And I don't know where they are, but anyway, this building has been here a really long time. And then my office is all the way, I'm facing University Avenue. So just drive around the building and you'll see my blue Toyota. You can park right there. Thank you, Joan.
I'll be sure to put the Alzheimer's Resources of Alaska address and telephone number on the email I send out to you guys with the attachments too, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Good.
Well, be safe out there. If you're going on the road, it's really slippery today. So
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Bye.
much.
Thank you.
Great day.
have a great day too.
Bye.